Hello, my name's Phoebe Morris, and I'm a 5th grader at Key School. I'm excited to tell you my story today. If I could choose one word to describe how my classwork and homework was at my old school, it would be tragic. I would be pulled out for reading and math and come back with piles of work on my desk that I would have to finish. It made me feel different from the other kids. I just didn't feel like I fit in at that school. I didn't have time to finish my work in class, so I would have to finish it at night. I talked to my mom about it every night. My mom explained one day when I was in 2nd grade that I had dyslexia. I remember asking her, "What is dyslexia?" I thought it was a disease, but my mom told me it wasn't. But she did say it had something to do with my brain. It was a little strange at first, but then I accepted it. It still made me feel different from the other kids. Classwork was still hard. But then, someone told my mom about Key School and suggested I make a visit. At first, I did not want to go because I've never been to another school before. Plus, I had a huge test coming up. When I got to Key School, I felt comfortable and at home. Even though it was different from my other school, there were kids just like me there. When my mom picked me up that day, I told her I do not want to go back to my old school. The second day I visited Key School, the only thing I was thinking about was my mom talking to Miss Benson about letting me come to Key School. I like Key School because there's not so much pressure and it's much smaller. I knew teachers there understood that I learned differently. So do my friends here. What's so awesome is that we all learn in a whole new way. One of my favorite things about Key School is ALT, which stands for Academic Language Therapy. It teaches you how to take words apart and sound them out. We call it coding. My reading has changed because of my coding. It made everything easier for me, and I was finally getting the attention I needed to learn in a way that's best for me. Now, I get to learn in class all day and never have to be pulled out. I've been in at Key School, it's great, but what I really love about Key School is that I feel so much better about myself and how I learn. I know I can learn anything I want to there. The only tragic thing now is if my mom says I can't go to Chick-fil-A for dinner. I want to thank all of you for giving kids like me a chance. Now, I would like to introduce Miss Benson. I'm so glad I get to spend time with you at Key School. You're the bomb.com.
Well, Miss Phoebe's definitely a hard act to follow. Good afternoon and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today for this celebration. I really have been looking forward to having this conversation with all of you about dyslexia. But before we get started, I want your help with a really quick and easy task. Because I want all of you to have a really good understanding of what it's like to be dyslexic. So what I ask of all of you is to read the Key Center for Learning Differences Community Impact Statement with me. Are you ready? Here we go. The Key Center for Learning Differences believes that every child in Tarrant County. That really wasn't quick and easy, was it? In fact, it might have felt like you were deciphering a mysterious code from Raiders of the Lost Ark. Well, it is code for so many individuals. Can you imagine trying to decipher this code every minute of every single day? And can you imagine what it must be like in the classroom for a child that's trying to decipher this code on every assignment in class? And also, can you imagine what it must look like for those parents when their child comes home every evening, not only to do homework, but that classwork that they missed out on, to do that as well? Well, let me tell you right now, it isn't easy. Dyslexia does not limit itself to a certain gender, culture, or socioeconomic background. It also does not limit people from great success. ABC Shark Tank investor Barbara Corcoran often talks about her time in school. She's dyslexic. And she talks about how hard it was to keep up with the classwork and also to really truly understand what anyone was saying. She didn't even understand what her teacher was saying. But what she did gain during that time were the skills and the mindset to think outside the box. At age 23, Barbara quit her waitressing job in New York City and started her own real estate business. It's now $1 billion business. Barbara's story is so similar to many with dyslexia. Okay, not everybody hits that billionaire on Shark Tank part. But they are connected to the highly gifted, creative, and innovative part of Barbara's story. You know, Barbara to this day still calls dyslexia a great gift. And if there's one thing that I hope you all walk away with today as you head out the doors, is that you understand that dyslexia, it can be a great gift. Let me tell you what I mean by that. Research reveals that 35% of American entrepreneurs identified themselves as dyslexic. You see, dyslexia doesn't mean that you're broken or that you're lazy. On the contrary. Dyslexics are more likely to excel in oral communication and problem-solving skills than their non-dyslexic peers. Dyslexia is neurological in origin. It's a brain thing. And being a brain thing is critical for all of us to understand. The brain has the incredible ability to adapt to new learning experiences. The brain then incorporates a new tool set to help the child read. We know that when dyslexia is identified and supported early, that the trajectory of a child's life is greatly improved for the better. Dyslexia doesn't go away, but it can become an asset and an advantage. I want to take a minute and I want to tell you about a little girl named Sarah. Sarah's mom and dad walked into Key School about 5 years ago. They were defeated, they were exhausted, and they were sad. Their daughter, Sarah, that we're calling Sarah for this story, was in 2nd grade at the time, 7 years old. Sarah wouldn't go to school. She didn't want to get up and go to school. The anxiety of having to go to school every day was more than that sweet little girl could handle. And she couldn't go to school because she was always worried because her teachers were always telling her to hurry, hurry, hurry and get that work turned in. And her peers were telling her she wasn't smart. Sarah's parents had just found out that their daughter had dyslexia, and that's when they found Key. That sweet 7-year-old walked onto our campus that first day. She was nervous, she was scared, and she had almost no self-esteem. But over time, we were able to see Sarah's true self emerge. that hardworking, persistent, kind, and curious second grader blossomed. And I'm happy to report she's doing very well, both academically and socially, in middle school. But Sarah's success was not because of any source of luck. It was because of her hard work and the highly specialized curriculum she received while she was at Key. I want you to take a look at the screen, and you're going to see that Sarah learned the structure of our language by coding words and blending sounds. She learned a systematic approach to connect our written word with the spoken word. Sarah's teachers were certified academic language therapists. They helped her see her worth, and they helped her celebrate her own individual learning style. Dyslexia represents 80% of all reading disabilities. I want to make sure that you all heard that. It's real important. Dyslexia represents 80% of all reading disabilities. So what happens when our kids go undiagnosed? Well, some of these sweet children are so frustrated with school that they skip school, barely make it to graduation, or they drop out completely. So it may not surprise you then that the vast majority of our children that are in our juvenile court system are functionally illiterate, and that close to 50% of our adult prison population is dyslexic. Let's bring it a little bit closer to home. Let's talk about Fort Worth, right here in Fort Worth. Of all of our Fort Worth third graders, only 1 in 3 are reading at grade level. Here's why that statistic is so important. From 1st through 3rd grade, children are learning to read. After 3rd grade, children are reading to learn. So, if only 1 in 3 of our 3rd graders are reading on grade level, that means an overwhelming number of our children will never catch up to their peers. But here's the great news. The Key Center is focused on 3 critical outcomes to change all of those statistics. First, we will identify warning signs in dyslexia in children as early as preschool. On our new campus, we will be introducing an early childhood program that will focus on kindergarten readiness, and it will lay the foundation for future success. We will identify and we will intervene early. Second, we will provide the resources families need to help them navigate this challenging educational journey. So many of our parents don't know where to turn. That's why we want to make sure that the families of children struggling to read in Tarrant County have access to resources. Our permanent campus will include a community center just for that purpose. We want to help families understand dyslexia so that they can give their child every opportunity to flourish. Our third outcome is to increase the number of highly trained, certified academic language therapists in Fort Worth and beyond. As part of our new campus, we will be opening a training center to certify these therapists. This is a 2-year program. It's equivalent to getting a master's degree. These certified therapists will be able to take their skill set into the classroom, no matter the school. And they will also have the ability to identify dyslexia in children that may not have already been diagnosed. And guess what? We're not wasting any time. Our first training route begins this next summer, and we will be using the curriculum from the nationally recognized Nyhouse Education Center in Houston. Emancipation leader Frederick Douglass said, "Once you learn to read, you'll forever be free." At the Key Center, we are leading the way in Tarrant County to free our children from the fear and the failure and the frustration that comes with not being able to read. It's our responsibility to provide them with a world of words that makes sense to them. I mentioned this earlier, and it bears repeating. Dyslexia can be a great gift. Let's be that nationwide example of a community that provides the support and the environment for our children to learn to read and to forever be free. Thank you for standing with the Key School and the Key Center today. Thank you also for your unwavering commitment to our community. Thank you all for being here today. Ready? And now, would you please welcome the family of Dr. John Richardson to the stage. This year, we are so pleased to honor the late Dr. Richardson for his dedication and his service to our community. His legacy of hope and opportunity is evident in every child at Key. And that is why our new campus will bear his name. The Key Center for Learning Differences, John M. Richardson Campus. The naming of the campus and the creation of this award is to further honor Dr. Richardson's important role in shaping dyslexia education. It's our hope to honor others throughout the years who have also lived their lives in service, just like Dr. Richardson. Jane, on behalf of all of us at the Key School and the Key Center, thank you for accepting this award on behalf of your father and your family. Thank you. Thank you.
Wow. Our dad would be so humbled and grateful for all of you here today. The Key School is filled with so many dedicated teachers and families who unlock the potential and possibilities for children with learning differences. And it all started with a small group of teachers who my father referred to as the school marms. And they were led by Mary Ann Key, and they taught the children in their homes and in their garages until they were overwhelmed with the needs of so many children. And now look where we are today. If you were lucky enough to be a student at the Key School like I was, you might have received a little box like this. I still have the name just like I wrote it when I was little, so I keep it on my desk at work. And in this box, it's full of Greek and Latin root words. And the time tests that we had to take was very stressful, but it built the foundation for my future learning. And the compassionate and caring teachers at the Key School, like my teacher, Mary Ann Gracie, inspired me to also become a teacher, an early childhood special education teacher. So I'm thrilled with the new early childhood program that's happening at the Key Center. It's exciting now. We are building a strong foundation for the future of students and teachers at the John M. Richardson campus. My dad's spirit is present in each of us today, and through our efforts and his legacy, we will continue on and live through him. His last words to us were, "Be humble, be kind, and get that Key Center built." So we're doing just that. So thank you everyone for being here today and for celebrating diversity, inclusion, and dyslexia, because it is the path to so many children's opportunities throughout the world. And we can just be such an example, like Carrie said, that we will be a model for the United States and the world. So we're very excited, and thank you so much for being here.
Hi, I'm Carla Brown. Wow, this is a little bit different than practicing in front of a mirror, I'll say. This is a great, great crowd. Thank you for being here. It is an honor to be chair of the Key Board and of the Key School. A special thanks to the Richardson family. I know your dad would be so pleased and proud to have you all here. Thank you for your support. Thank you. To Carrie and the Key School staff, I agree with Phoebe. You all are the bomb.com. Yes. Thank you for moving the vision forward for Key School, for all of Tarrant County. And of course, none of us would be here today without Mrs. Key. Mrs. Key, thank you for being just the early pioneer in Fort Worth for all of us with dyslexia. All of us that were lucky enough to go to your school would not be the same without you. Okay, well today I'm going to visit with you all about the stereotypes and stigmas of dyslexia. It is a topic I know very well. I started experiencing these stigmas as far back as the first grade. I was sitting on the front row of my first grade classroom with my hair in a ponytail like it is today, just excited and ready to learn. Well, on this particular day, we were doing an oral reading activity. Each student individually was just reading one at a time, a little short paragraph. Well, I was sitting up straight and ready for my turn, and the teacher called on me. And I looked down at the first word of the sentence, and I had no idea what it said. It looked like somebody had just thrown a jigsaw puzzle out on my page. I couldn't put those letters together. So I sat there quietly, kind of tears welling up in my eyes, and just frustrated and embarrassed. It seemed like everybody else had read so easily. Well, the teacher said, "Carla, you need to keep up with the rest of the classroom." And before I knew what was happening, she had moved on to the next person, and I had missed my turn. Well, if things like that would have only happened to me once in my life, it really wouldn't be that big a deal.
But I had experiences like this happen over and over again all throughout my academic career. To make things a little bit harder, my sister always made straight A's. And so did my friends. They were always on the high honor roll. And I thought, well, how are they doing this? It seems so natural to them and so difficult for me. And I was embarrassed constantly at school. Well, no matter how hard we tried, no matter how hard, I say we because my family had to try with me. We would do drills and drills and drills at night. But no matter how much time we put into all of this, I went to school and was just an average student. And I so desperately wanted to be more than average. And then in the 4th grade, I saw a teacher that understood a little bit about what was going on. And so in the 4th grade is when I was diagnosed with dyslexia. And it was such a relief. It was such a relief to learn that my brain just functioned differently than most people, but that I was okay. And it really just let me take a breath. I can remember that even in the 4th grade. So that's when I began the Key School summer program. I took math, I took reading, I took study skills. My mom signed me up for anything that they had to offer. And I was also matched, Mrs. Key matched me with academic language therapists and with tutors that I saw really 5th through 12th grade year. I didn't know this then, but what I know now is that I was learning, well, they were really teaching me how to break the English language down into little teeny parts. I was learning how to blend sounds together, the Greek and Latin roots that Jane was talking about. And really, all of these things just helped me to read easier, spell better, and to process my thoughts a whole lot easier. And I was developing academic confidence. So by the end of the 12th grade, I had really gotten enough tools to go to college. And that is how I ended up at Harvard. Well, not really. Let me explain. You see, I made a 670 on the SAT. That's pretty low, isn't it? In fact, I bet you've never heard of a score so low. Because that was for reading and math combined. In fact, my children like to say that you get 300 points for bubbling your name in correctly. And I tell them I probably didn't bubble my name in correctly. But you see, multiple choice tests are really hard for those of us with dyslexia. We love to look at the big picture. That's one of our gifts, is to look at the big picture. Well, despite my SAT score, I was able to go to the University of Texas, and no, my dad did not get me in. I was able to go on my own merit. I majored in communications, and then I received my master's from the University of Colorado in counseling psychology. After that, I moved to Washington, D.C., and wrote curriculum for children on violence prevention and conflict resolution. And that's how I ended up in Cambridge, Massachusetts, working for an education think tank that was closely related to Harvard. Well, I mean, that's the truth. But I hear some chuckles, and really that's how I felt, because when I went in the first day, I thought, well, how did I get myself here? Most of my coworkers were interns from Harvard or had graduated from Harvard, but I quickly was able to see that I could talk with these people on their level and work with them on their level In fact, within the first couple of months of being there, I had completely revamped the way this think tank was marketing their curriculum. And what was so obvious to me was really foreign to them. And I began to see, well, maybe I'm not just average because of my dyslexia. Maybe I do have a gift to share with others. And I began to break down that whole stereotype and stigma that I was carrying around with myself. That SAT score didn't define me, just as dyslexia didn't define me. It is part of who I am, part of what most children are at Key School. But it is not who we are. Well, I was diagnosed at 10. My son was so very, very lucky. He was diagnosed with dyslexia when he was just 5 years old. And after meeting with the diagnostician, after he was diagnosed and I met with the diagnostician, she said, my son's name is Cormac. She said, Cormac has such severe dyslexia that he will never, ever read for pleasure. Well, of course, when I got that news, we connected him quickly with Mrs. Key, and she connected him with academic language therapists and tutors. And in just 3 years' time, after working with these Key School people, he not only won the reading award in his public school made up of hundreds of kids for the most books read, but for the best reading comprehension. Cormac is the perfect example of why early intervention and diagnosis is so important for children with dyslexia. Today, there are scientific methods like MRIs and other diagnostic tools that help us understand dyslexia. We know how the brain works in a dyslexic, and we know how to turn children like myself and like my son into readers. As I wrap up today, please know that 1 out of every 5 children in the United States has dyslexia. And as Carrie said, only 1 in 3 third graders are reading on grade level. We don't have the resources in Tarrant County to meet the needs of all of these people. That is why we are here and what we are fighting for every day. We must educate the community on the critical importance of early diagnosis. We must train our educators how to teach children with dyslexia because they're in every classroom. And as parents, we must advocate better for our children because our voices are the voices that hold the most power to rewrite the narrative. The community needs to see the human side of dyslexia. They need to see me, a lifelong dyslexic learner. They need to see you, all of our advocates. And they need to see that ponytail girl that is sitting on the front row of every classroom. We don't have all the answers. And let me say that again. At Key School and the Key Center, we don't have all the answers. But we are asking the right questions and partnering with the right organizations to move dyslexia forward in Tarrant County. That is why it is our time to stand together with Key School and the new Key Center on the John N. Richardson campus. I am so grateful to be here and truly celebrate dyslexia with you. Thank you for helping us prove that the stereotypes and stigmas around dyslexia are wrong. And thank you for saying to all of our children, you do have a gift, and you are anything but average. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I'd like to welcome my little brother Johnny Brumley to the stage. He is not going to say a long speech. Don't worry, he's going to wrap things up for us. Thank you, Johnny.
All right, thank you. Well, thank you, Carla, and thanks for sharing your story with us. That's a great story. You might have been a below average first grader, but you're certainly above average now. I'm really proud of you. You know, this has been a great lunch and a great way to show off what Key School and what the Key Center is capable of and will be capable of in the future. I'm a former student, and I love seeing that little box because I had one of those little boxes, I think, from the time I was 5 years old till 18 years old, and always looking at it, so that was fun to see that, Jane. And I'm a former student, and so I've seen the benefits of what this school can do for me because, like my sister's story, mine was pretty similar. And this school really runs deep, and it runs deep with me and my family. And I'm glad to see the huge impact that this will have on this community. And in fact, Fort Worth has recognized it and has proclaimed today Key Center Dyslexia Day. So thank you, Mayor Price and the city of Fort Worth. Our fundraising campaign is underway, and we have several leadership gifts that are already committed, and we really are appreciative of those. But throughout the next 12 months, we'll be working hard on sharing our mission of teaching, leading, serving, and giving. We need your help, and we need your advocacy, and we need your financial support. As you head out, please turn in your name badge and grab a bookmark. These bookmarks have quotes from Key School students on them, so you really want to get one of those. They're important. And thank you for your time today, and also thank you for your support.